In May, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel delivered an emotional monologue as he revealed that his newborn son, Billy, was born with a heart defect that required immediate surgery. The operation was successful, but Kimmel was deeply shaken by the experience, which happened amid the debate over replacing the Affordable Care Act. Kimmel delivered a passionate plea about the astronomical costs of health care. No parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life. Later that week, while talking about whether insurance companies should be able to cap payouts, Senator Bill Cassidy, R-Law, coined the phrase the Jimmy Kimmel test, as in would a child born with congenital heart disease be able to get everything he or she would need in that first year of life. Cassidy then appeared on Kimmel's show, and the senator reiterated the importance of making sure middle-class families could afford health care. Fast forward to this month, and there's a new proposal as the Senate continues in its quest to repeal Obamacare. It's called the Cassidy-Graham Bill, spearheaded by Cassidy and Sen. Lindsey Graham, RSC. People have already pointed out it would fail the Jimmy Kimmel test. On his show Tuesday night, the late-night host eviscerated Cassidy and the bill. "I know you guys are going to find this hard to believe. But a few months ago, after my son had open heart surgery, a senator named Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, was on my show and he wasn't very honest," Kimmel said, kicking things off. Here's a transcript of most of Kimmel's remarks, which got heated, especially toward Cassidy, and he had a few choice words for people who will criticize him for politicizing his son's health problems. It seemed like Cassidy was being honest. He got a lot of credit and attention for coming off like a rare, reasonable voice in the Republican Party when it came to health care, for coming up with something he called, and I didn't name it this, he named it this, the Jimmy Kimmel test, which was in a nutshell, no family should be denied medical care, emergency or otherwise, because they can't afford it. He agreed to that. He said he would only support a healthcare bill that made sure a child like mine would get the health coverage he needs no matter how much money his parents make. And that did not have annual or lifetime caps. These insurance companies, they want caps, to limit how much they can pay out. So for instance, if your son has to have 3 open heart surgeries, it can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars apiece. If he hits his lifetime cap of, let's say, $1 million, the rest of his life, he's on his own. Our current plan protects Americans from these caps and prevents insurance providers from jacking up the rates for people who have pre-existing conditions of all types. And Senator Cassidy said his plan would do that, too. He said all of this on television many times. Clip of Senator Cassidy on CNN saying, "I ask, does it pass the Jimmy Kimmel test? Would the child born with a congenital heart disease be able to get everything she or he would need in the first year of life? I want it to pass the Jimmy Kimmel test." So last week, Bill Cassidy and Senator Lindsey Graham proposed a new bill, the Graham-Cassidy bill. And this new bill actually does pass the Jimmy Kimmel test, but a different Jimmy Kimmel test. With this one, your child with a pre-existing condition will get the care he needs, if, and only if, his father is Jimmy Kimmel. Otherwise, you might be screwed. Now, I don't know what happened to Bill Cassidy. But when he was on this publicity tour, he listed his demands for a healthcare bill very clearly. These were his words. He said he wants coverage for all, no discrimination based on pre-existing conditions, lower premiums for middle-class families, and no lifetime caps. And guess what? The new bill does none of those things. Coverage for all? No. Fact, it will kick about 30 million Americans off insurance. Pre-existing conditions? Nope. If the bill passes, individual states can let insurance companies charge you more if you have a pre-existing condition. You'll find that little loophole later in the document after it says they can't. They can, and they will. But will it lower premiums? Well, in fact, for lots of people, the bill will result in higher premiums. And as far as no lifetime caps go, the states can decide on that, too, which means there will be lifetime caps in many states. So not only did Bill Cassidy fail the Jimmy Kimmel test, he failed the Bill Cassidy test. He failed his own test. And you don't see that happen very much. This bill that he came up with is actually worse than the one that, thank God, Republicans like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski and John McCain torpedoed over the summer. And I hope they have the courage and good sense to do that again with this one, because these other guys who claim they want Americans to have better health care, even though 8 yeah.